Welcome. You are tuning in and listening live to another edition of Wealth Building Wednesday right here on the Selma Center for Nonviolence or the Black Belt Community Foundation Facebook page. You also might be tuned in and listening to our media partner, listening on our media partner, WBFZ 105.3 Radio. We are super excited to have everyone here with us today, tuned in because the big H word is the topic for today: home ownership and the impact that it can have on wealth building. Wealth Building Wednesday is brought to you by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation and the partnership that exists here in Selma for TRHT Selma. That is Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation. The partnership here in Selma exists between the Black Belt Community Foundation and the programmatic partner, Selma Center for Nonviolence. So again, we want to thank everyone for tuning in. Want to remind you that we broadcast every Wednesday, 10 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, and we rebroadcast live on the radio, 1:30 p.m. on WBFZ 105.3. And I want to welcome our beautiful guests this morning. They are experts, honey. Oh, tell a friend to tune in. We have had an awesome conversation before even beginning the show this morning. So I do want to take time to welcome Miss Africhinae Robinson and Miss Tara McBride to the show. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
I'd love for you all to just take a moment to kind of introduce yourselves and let the viewers know, let the listeners know who you are and what you do. And then we're going to dive straight into our questions.
I'll let Miss McBride go first since I've been on several times.
Oh, have you? Yes, Africhinae, she is awesome. And she'll tell you all about herself. Thank you. Yes, my name is Tara McBride. I am the current real estate broker of the Phoenix Real Estate Group, formerly known as Covenant Realty, LLC. We also are affiliated with Assurance Mortgage and Finance, which is a mortgage brokerage. I have been in real estate, that was going to make me look old. But I've been in real estate since 1999. As far as on the real estate sales side, I have a master's degree in finance and accounting. So I work on the financial side as well. I do mortgages, loan origination. I do forensic underwriting sometimes for banks as far as it goes, approving home loans. Basically, the underwriter is a person that a lot of people don't like, so I usually don't even bring it up because it's, the underwriter, the person that says yay or nay on your home. So just over many years in real estate, finance, and on the sales side.
All right. I am Africhinae Robinson. I am the associate broker with the Phoenix Real Estate Group. I've been in real estate since 2010, and I live here in Selma. I service mostly Selma, but licensed for the state of Alabama, and I will do some traveling depending on how far it is.
Awesome. So these ladies are truly experts in their field. So if you have questions, please don't hesitate to drop your question or comment in the comment box. This is live on Facebook. Again, you can tune in live every Wednesday, 10 a.m. right here on Facebook. The Black Belt Community Foundation and the Selma Center for Nonviolence Facebook pages are where you can find us. So the first question, home ownership. How does home ownership impact wealth? I think, Ms. McBride, we were having a conversation prior to.
We were having quite a conversation, and a lot of your feelings are exactly true. And I think Mrs. Robinson as well, the things that she had to say, in my opinion, and just different things that I've read, home ownership affects wealth is basically a trickle down effect. Many years ago, of course, we saw there was a lot of disparagement upon minorities and discrimination. We had the redlining and different things to stop them from having home ownership. So once you have a group of people who are deprived of owning real estate, they don't have something to pass down to their children, their children's children. And so that alone affects the wealth. That would affect what we're seeing today. And so today, people that own real estate, it may be something that they have inherited, or maybe something that they had to purchase, if they own that piece of real estate, they can take advantage of the real estate market when there's an influx of value, and they make money. And there are also savings as well. So it has a great impact. It's probably one of the best investments, in my opinion, that a person can make is a piece of real estate. Everyone, I think it was someone, one of our brilliant ladies, but everyone has to have a place to live, is what you said to me, right?
Yeah.
We have to have real estate. It's the largest asset in the world. If you have that, you're going to have wealth. You have something to fall back on.
And that's a beautiful point to make. I consistently, I have an 11-year-old son, and I am consistently talking to him about, I'm telling him, I'm like, listen, I don't want you to be 40 years old buying your first house. I want to accumulate so that I can pass things on to you. Your Mima made the first investment, right? And so I'm making an investment, and I'll continue to make investments in our family's financial future. So home ownership truly does impact wealth. And even when we think about college education and the fact that people who invest in real estate that brings in a lot of money can then take out lines of credit against the home or home equity loans to cover things like a college education. So their children are not burdened with student loans, which we've talked about here on Wealth Building Wednesday as well.
Absolutely.
So, what are some of the greatest challenges that you've seen for families seeking to become home buyers?
Well, on the for a real estate agent is being able to obtain financing for those that can't afford to just pay cash out of pocket or have those resources. Another thing has been just being able to afford what they expected or what they actually need for maybe their household size, and then that being available in the area that they're looking for.
I definitely agree with that. Absolutely. I think you had a key point, in my opinion, is that, the education you answered before, but I was thinking the same thing, just not knowing that having the knowledge or having someone that would basically take time to explain. And so this program is great because you have different people, different platforms giving, just having the knowledge of maybe the first steps to take or what are some of the things available. But I think that knowledge comes back to even as a child. You say you have an 11-year-old, you're always telling him, hey, we have to do this and that. It starts from an early age. But if you didn't have the benefit of someone telling you that, programs like this and others, just getting that knowledge and taking the first step, because we all have to have some place to live, I think that's a key to that. I agree with you, Mrs. Robinson.
So now, when we think about the important factors to consider when we're talking about home ownership and the things that people may be looking for, what are some of the most important factors that we need to consider when searching for a home?
In real estate school, the first thing they tell you is location.
Location,
Location, location, location.
Yeah, so they tell, location. You want to consider things that are important to your household. Some people may be the school system, schools on what the school system offers. Others may be the distance from your employer. Which you got to have that so you can afford to pay your mortgage. So it's the biggest thing is going to be what is fundamental for the household.
Okay. So now, pre-approval. There's this term, and I've actually heard, and Miss Robinson is not the only realtor I know, but I've heard everybody talking about, including Miss Robinson, talking about pre-approval. What is pre-approval? When a realtor says to you, how much are you pre-approved for? What does that mean, and how important is that?
It's extremely important. Pre-approval, yes, I had to take a big sigh. There is a difference, and Mrs. Robinson is absolutely right. First, from a real estate agent standpoint, it protects them, it saves everyone time and money. I mean, that you have a serious buyer, but it also protects the home buyer. Don't waste your time. It's very frustrating if I've been looking at $200,000 homes or 300 or 400, and then I find out, oh my, I'm qualified for 100,000. If the houses are priced correctly, there should be a noticeable difference. So just that alone to saving hurt feelings. However, with a pre-qualification, you asked about pre-approval, but you want to be pre-approved because a pre-approval means that the lender, hopefully that loan officer got it into the underwriter to where someone actually, because some loan officers, and I know firsthand, some loan officers get a little confused as well. You want that underwriter to have reviewed your income, your assets, and your credit. And and when you have a pre-qualification, we have just basically maybe ran your credit, looked at that credit score and said, oh yeah, you should be fine. You want the pre-approval. We know that what assets we have on hand, we know what reserves, money you need, just the program in general. So everything should be fine with the pre-approval unless something changes throughout the loan process, at which it can, depending on what's going on with the borrower. But you definitely want a pre-approval. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so pre-approval, not pre-qualification.
That's right. Pre-qualification, I can call someone today. They'll probably look at my credit score. They may do a soft pull, meaning it's not a hard inquiry, won't show up on the report. And they'll just say, yeah, your credit score is good. However, when it hits that underwriter, if you weren't pre-approved, and the underwriter starts looking at the specific program requirements, your specific assets, your specific history, we have an issue in many cases if you haven't been pre-approved. What was used to be very frustrating to me as a real estate agent was when a client was, oh yeah, and they were just pre-qualified, or when I first started maybe being too excited to take someone out before they got pre-approved. And then the other side that makes it frustrating for everyone is that everyone has recommendations on what you need to do to be approved. I'm going to tell you, well, I'm expecting, we have 2 other children. They're all unique. Every loan is unique, just like people's children. Because I got pre-approved with this and that, because I could afford this, my credit score was that. It's more into it than just the credit score. So it's very unique. And they definitely want to be pre-approved themselves and not listen to Susie or whoever, how they got it done, because it's very different.
Mm-hmm.
So you said that changes could occur. Changes like more debt coming in. I've heard of folks like going out to buy a car while they're in the home buying process.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, recently I had someone that, I mean, we were at the home stretch, but credit report expired and they had to go back and re-pull credit. Once they re-pulled credit, they saw she didn't pay. She paid a bill late. So that dropped the credit score and it changed, the conditions of the loan. So now we got to do a little bit more leg work. We got to get an extension, to do something to get that turnaround. So different changes can occur during that process of, purchasing a home.
I
So
agree.
now
And
let's
that's
say that I've been pre-approved. We've gone on the search and I found the perfect home for my family. What are the next steps? Like, what should I expect next?
The next step would be to, well, if you found the house, you got to you enter in either negotiations or get a contract established with your real estate agent. Both agents on each side if you're dealing with an agency agreement. And then the underwriting process, will start with your lender. They'll possibly ask you for more documents that they may need. Then that all start rolling. Miss McBride can tell you more on her side
you're
what
absolutely right.
all they do behind the scenes. But that's basically you get a contract, then the lender starts their process. Then you're in their hands.
Okay.
That's absolutely right, Mrs. Robinson. So once it hits that underwriter, their job is to protect the bank, basically. And so
Okay.
they're not trying to be mean and ugly, and we're just not hateful people. We have a job to do. We're a neutral party. They do start asking for additional information. Basically, they are scrubbing those documents. They're scrubbing them as just, I guess, a metaphor, but they're looking at them very fine. They're going to look at your credit. They're going to look at your bank statements. I say that because when you're getting ready to buy a house, of course, you want to stay abreast of your credit. Mrs. Robinson mentioned you don't want to go out and buy new things, which you've already been pre-approved. You want to stay on top of your bills, but you don't want to start moving a lot of money around. Um, they look at everything from front to back because these are federally, in most cases, federally insured funds. And if your loan is approved and it shouldn't have been approved, then there's a major issue for the underwriter and for the lender. They basically lost the money they gave you. So that's why they're so strict about it. But it does go to the underwriting process. They look at everything from your residency history, where you currently stay. Oh my goodness, your time on the job. If you're self-employed with COVID, I know COVID. I had to bring up COVID. But with COVID, if you're self-employed, there is additional documentation that's required now that wasn't before, because we have to ensure that everyone is employed, that they're making what they really say. With self-employment, you used to just look at tax returns. Now we look at those profit and loss statements, those balance sheets. We also look at the business bank statements as well. You can't just have cash deposits. They have to screen everything. So you definitely want to be, back to your point, of pre-approved, because there are a lot of additional rules that are on top of loans now. But I'm not trying to make it sound scary, because it's not. It is a scary thing because it's a big investment that you're making. It can feel scary, but it can be a very smooth process if you find a reputable lender and just listen to what they're telling you. And everything should go smoothly, and be upfront. Don't hide things, because in today's world with technology, it'll come out of the end right before you close and you won't get the house. So just be upfront, because there are numerous loan products out here, and maybe they say, oh, that happened. Let's move you to a different product. You did have a foreclosure before. You did have a bankruptcy. You had some things. Tell me what really happened, so where there are no surprises, and I can really help you and see what program will meet your need.
So it's great that you are kind of gearing off, or venturing off into this idea of the different products that are available. What are some of the more popular products that we can look at when it comes to financing for folks who are looking to dive into the pool of home buying? Where can we kind of do our research? What are the products that are the popular products that are available for us?
Well, let's see. I would say, I was going to ask Mrs. Robinson, what are people just asking her? But I think I hear a lot of people asking about, especially in the Selma area, when I used to speak to clients, I think a lot will ask me about USDA sometimes. Do you get that a lot, Mrs. Robinson?
Yeah,
Okay.
we do, and a lot of times they be confused.
Mm-hmm.
There are two types of
Yes.
USDA loans. You have the USDA loan that rural development does,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have USDA loans that the other lenders and banks do, and the criteria is just a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I will say about rural development, now they do have a product that is very, very good. I've had cases. Well, last year I would have said I never closed a loan with them before, but I'm closing one with them on the 24th, and the process has been a little different than what it has been with the standard with the other lenders that I do that do their USDA loan. But there have cases of people that normally don't qualify for maybe the USDA loan requirements that Ms. McBride or other banks require as far as credit score and other things. I'm not sure about all the details, but I just know I have had a client that could not get pre-qualified or pre-approved with another lender, but they were able to get things done through rural development. And
Mm-hmm.
so, whereas, so it's got to be a big difference. And then you look at the interest rates and different things that they and their payments, and you like, oh wow, it is worth the wait, the longer time frame, or the difference in their process than it may be for someone that can qualify regularly and get through a little faster. So those that don't normally meet the standard lenders criteria may want to look at rural development, and they both are the pretty kind of like the same. You don't have a down payment, but you just have to if the house or the property that you're looking at has to be in the area that qualify for a USDA loan, and then you have to meet the requirements as far as income and household size and different things like that. But before today, I would have ruled out rural development because it takes so long. But just knowing now that that okay, well, this person can go through the loan process with them, even though they don't meet the credit requirements or something with somebody else. So, but that is one of the biggest products that we have, that a lot of loan products that a lot of buyers are using itself. But then also there is the lenders that do the Alabama housing. So
Yeah.
where they don't qualify for the no down payment on loan through USDA, maybe because they have a little bit more income, they can actually do the Alabama housing loan and still get 100% financing, or however they do that. But those two loans there are the biggest.
That you get a lot of questions. Yes, that USDA that you're speaking of, the USDA Direct is the one where you is very low to moderate income, and then the other one is not so strict on the income, but USDA does take a while. It's 100% financing, no down payment. And I do agree, it takes a while, but it can be worth it. It sounds like you have a lender that has some special overlays, mean additional rules to be a little more flexible with that. That Alabama housing, a lot of people refer to as that step up program. So the step up program is great. It's 100% financing in a sense, because you can get the 97% financing and then you end up getting a second mortgage or a second loan for the rest of your down payment up to $7,500, or 3% of the sales price, depending on a little bit more details, criteria, underwriting rules. So it will vary. Outside of that, there are that do not, that do not focus more so on income, because also the step up program focuses on income. It depends on if you're at the median income for the area. But we have a specialty program, FHA, and people are like, hey, you can't have an FHA with 100%. But we have some investors that do FHA, and they'll finance your 3.5% down payment, which is usually what you have to put down when you have an FHA loan. The credit score for that is a 640. And then, of course, you have additional rules. We have a conventional product where we need at least a 720 FICO middle credit score. And then it's the same process, but there are different rules. Some people don't want to do an FHA loan or cannot because maybe the house costs too much or whatever the rules may be that don't meet their needs. But there are various programs out there that are available.
So now, how do we get prepared? I'm venturing into this thing called home buying. I am looking around. How do I get prepared for the financing part? Because I know that you've mentioned quite a few things that you're looking at. The credit score. Are there other documents that I'm going to have to present? How important is my banking relationship? And you paused when you said time on the job. How important is that? What do I need to do to prepare to work through the financing part of home buying?
Very good. And those are very good questions and very good points that you made. If you are completely new to this, I would recommend first contacting a reputable lender, hopefully someone that's experienced, to let them go ahead and do a pre-qualification on you, at least so they can look at your credit. If depending how far you're out from buying, you might want to go ahead and do a pre-approval. You would need to, the lender is going to, of course, we're going to look at your credit score, right? You're going to, and the credit score that you have to qualify with varies from program to program. They're also going to look at your debt to ratio income. Your debt to ratio income is the amount of bills that you have in comparison to the amount of money that you make monthly. That in what we do, we take your bills and divide it into your monthly income. That spits out a certain percentage. Every loan has a different percentage that it can fall into. So with that being said, you want to maybe decrease a few of your bills if there's something that is not required for you to have that's reporting on credit. But you don't want to be too hasty and just pay off everything. And a lot of people make that mistake of just, well, I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to pay all my bills off. I'm going to have zero. And then they don't have anything else positive reporting on their credit report to keep their credit score moving in the right direction. So I'm not going to go in too much detail with that because it's very tedious and it's very unique to the person. But outside of that, of course, you don't want to just stack up debt either. I wouldn't go out and open new lines of credit, furniture bills, unless your lender maybe makes that recommendation if you want to. Of course, you want to start saving money, right? We have to have some money, but there are programs that can reduce that, because even if you have money for your down payment, or even if you have a down payment assistance program that's going to take care of that, you have some other, take care of your down payment is what I'm speaking of. You're going to have some other bills that you'll have to pay. I should say expenses, excuse me, that you'll have to pay up front. Like when you buy a home, you have to figure out the value. So you have to pay for your appraisal. You want to get a home inspection, especially when you're dealing with your real estate agent. They'll recommend it. You want to make sure the electricity isn't shot. There are just some things that you have to pay along the way. So save your money. Don't move money around. Don't co-sign for your friends for cars. Stay on your job. Please don't switch jobs. I'm sorry, my head just turned like sideways. Turned sideways. I was trying to go slow because honestly, I just had to deny a loan because someone just changed jobs. As a matter of fact, we were trying to get the clear to close, prepared to close the next day. Like it would be tomorrow if we were speaking of last week, but the next day, and then the lender always checks. So you started the buyer, you were employed when Mrs. Robinson took you out to look at the house. Right? You're employed the whole way. And then, hey, we're about to close. You know what? I can't stand this job anymore. I'm about to quit. That was bad grammar, but excuse me. So the gentleman, he just quit his job because he said, hey, I couldn't take anymore, honestly, and I found a new job. He found a new job that starts in 2 weeks, and he's taking it because it pays more money. Well, unfortunately, I had to deny the loan. Don't switch jobs in the middle of your loan process. Long story short, stay on your job, stick it out, right? And there's just some other little things, but I would first talk to your real estate agent because they know a lot of things. They hear a lot. They know what's going on in the market. They're trusted advisors. And they might be able to recommend a financial person to you to help you with your loan. I mean, of course, they're going to tell you, you pick who you feel comfortable with. Mm-hmm. But they can maybe tell you some things that they've experienced, and then it's your job to determine if that meets your needs or not. But that would be the first step.
Lydia, you look like you were shocked. Those things happen.
But the reason why I look like that, because it just happened. I'm like, and when it happened, I'm thinking, I've been doing this a long time. Why are people still doing this? Why do you book your job a day before closing? Why do you go buy the whole house of furniture before you close? Don't do it.
It happens. It happens
all the time. And I'm like, why did you do that?
Like many of our elders would say, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Make sure you don't realize the document signed before you.
Yeah, and some I guess it'd be excitement, nerves, or something. Excitement. But and then when you have to be like, I told you, please don't, and it affects us because we don't get paid until we close that transaction.
That's right.
And so all the time that I spent, time, gas, ink, paper, getting things prepared. And the same thing with the attorneys, same thing with the title company, same thing with the home warranty company. Then you don't spend the money on appraisals, home inspections. All this stuff went into play, and some of these people won't receive their payments because you have done something that you have been advised not to do, or things like that. And so it's a process.
It is a process. And you made a very good point about everyone, when we're working in real estate, we get paid on the back side. Mm-hmm. However, that pulls back to your point of wealth building. Wealth building isn't just for when I buy a house, I can pass that down to my children, my children's children. Hey, the market goes up. I can get extra money out my house that I never put in it. Mm-hmm. But you also help your community. When you buy a piece of real estate, you have employed so many people you probably don't know, people you've never heard of. I can think of 10 departments that are getting paid off the top. They have money for their kids, their food, just because you were able to purchase a home. It's a very, very important key to wealth. It's a full circle, actually.
Yes.
Yes.
And so this has been an awesome opportunity for us to drop nuggets along the way. Again, Wealth Building Wednesday is just a really 30-minute little bit of information because we want to wet people's whistle, right? We want to share as much as we can in 30 minutes simply to make sure that people get on the right track. And we dive deeper and deeper into topics today. When we talked about home buying, we talked about funding, y'all. We got to make sure that our lenders are on our side. So do not quit your job if you are looking for a
Please
home.
don't.
Do not go buy a car if you are looking for a home, right? Make sure you're monitoring your credit. Don't necessarily depend on all these apps. We didn't get to that, but we'll talk about that the next time we have you ladies on because we definitely need to talk about, depending on, a lot of these apps to look at your credit score and then it looks totally different when a lender
Oh.
pulls it. So we'll have
Yes,
to
we
come
didn't
back.
talk about. You're right. We didn't talk about that, but yes.
Yes, we will definitely have to come back. We want to go ahead and close out though because we have to stick to our time. I know WBFZ is going to have a fit. It's like this is 31 minutes, but it's 31 minutes of great information. So we thank each and every one of you all for tuning in and listening, tuning in and watching. Don't forget every single Wednesday, 10 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, right here on the Black Belt Community Foundation and the Selma Center for Nonviolence Facebook pages. You can catch Wealth Building Wednesday. If you missed something, rewind. If you heard something that applied to you or a friend, see, tell a friend to tell a friend. Share this video. This is important information because this is about building wealth, y'all. We are promoting truth, racial healing, and transforming our community together. So thank you, ladies, for joining us. We're going to have you back to talk about so much more. Until next Wednesday, y'all have a good one.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.